Hey everyone, Erin from the Impatient Gardener. Well, like many of you, we had snow just 2 days ago. We got about 5 inches of heavy, wet snow. It was much worse in other places, by far around the country, certainly, but also just south of us, they had like 9 inches. But it has put a bit of a damper on some gardening things that I had sort of hoped to be doing this weekend. It's actually fine. I was very prepared for this. Last year on March 25th, I think I actually did a tour video where I walked around and showed you we had it really bad. March snowstorms are, I'm officially declaring them the norm now. I can't think of a year in the past 5 years that we haven't had a heavy, wet March snowfall. It just happens. We get April ones too, usually. The good news is that it melts pretty quick this time of year, but we also got a big drop in temperature. We were down to 20 again a couple days ago. But ironically, I picked my first daffodils out of the garden. Good old ice follies, which grows alongside the house. I don't even think I planted these. I think they were here when we got here 22 years ago, bought this house. Hey, here's what we're going to do today. We are going to do a little walk around. I'm just going to show you some stuff in the garden, but we're also going to combine that with a walking Q&A. And I just can't stand in the basement anymore. I get so sick of standing down there making videos. So we're going to walk around and actually look at stuff, answer some of your questions, and we'll do postcards at the end. So let's go. Hi, Dorothy. Come on, you want to go for a walk? Not that kind of walk. Sorry, just walk around the garden. It's a stroll around the garden. We'll go for a walk later. It is windy and quite chilly out here, actually. Brr. Okay, let's crank out some questions, but we'll walk while we do that. So the first question was from Vale Creek Cottage. I recently ordered some seeds for snail vine. I'm in Australia and I'm heading into our colder seasons, but I'm wondering if you've grown this type of vine before and the steps on how you did it. I grew it last year. It's on my my quest to grow all the annual vines. It's annual here for me. I did not get flowers from it. It's one of those that needs a very long season. Probably will do great in Australia because of that. But it did not have enough time here to flower for me. So that was a non-starter for me. That's the end of my snail vine story. Everything got a bit beat down by the cold temperatures here. Even the snowdrops look a little sad. And the hellebores are starting to come up. These are ones that I think I showed in a video where I was pruning some of these. But everything is looking a little chilly. But there's daffodil foliage up absolutely everywhere. I mean, it's just popping up everywhere with buds on it. And it'll be fine. Everything's fine. CMS Beth says, do you protect your Japanese maples during harsh sub-zero temperatures? I bought a really expensive Acer palmatum crimson queen. And we had about 1 week of -10 to -20 this year, and it looks bad right now. I'm afraid I lost it. So I don't actually grow a lot of Japanese maples for exactly this reason. When we had a polar vortex, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, my cousin works for a very big landscaping nursery company near Madison in Wisconsin, and he told me he said the number of blood goods and Crimson Queen returns they had that year were crazy. And I think he told me they were actually thinking about not carrying those anymore, or at the very least sort of trying to push people in a direction of something else, because they just get a little finicky about things. But I am standing here next to a Japanese maple, but this is Acer Shirazawam. Oh, this is Moonrise right here. This is the one that didn't lose its leaves this year. This one has been doing really well. And I also have, I actually think it's a Korean maple, and that is Acer, what is it? Dancing Peacock. Aconitifolium. Those have always been done well for me, but I have lost a ton of Acer palmatums over the years, so I don't actually grow them anymore for exactly this reason. I don't think it's practical to think you're going to protect them, and it should technically be fine down to -20. That's the end. That's the bottom of zone 5. They're supposed to be hardy through that. Should technically be fine. You know, all I can say is just hang in there and wait. Don't make any rash decisions on these things. A lot of times things look real sad for a long time, and then they sort of pop out of it, or part of it will pop out of it, and you can salvage the tree. But yeah, it's an issue, and it's part of the reason I haven't grown any Acer palmatums for a long time. We can go look at the new mixed hedge while I ask this next question, which has nothing to do with mixed hedges. Although, I just want to tell you that the hemlock looks so pretty in the snow. It's looking happy. It has no deer browse yet. I know we're worried about it and we're protecting against it. Everything here is actually looking really good. We've got buds forming on most things. I'm pretty happy. It was not a tough winter, so I'm pretty happy with how things are looking. This giant truck over here these trucks have been here for a week and a half. This is over at the neighbor's construction project. They are digging for geothermal. And I'll tell you what, that is a noisy and messy thing. It'll be amazing, I'm sure, for them to have it, but it'll be noisy and messy. Let me just show you while I'm standing right here, the buds on this Cornus moss that we planted last year, because I'm going to show you the ones that have been growing for a while. Starting to show just a little bit of color, and they're smaller. Okay, now let me ask a question while we walk to the other one. If you were asked to plant 16 to 20 inch or 16 and 20 inch planters for downtown sidewalk planters in zone 7, New Jersey, what plants might you choose? Shop owners will volunteer to water, budget friendly. First of all, I just want to say that this is like my, sorry about the hair, my dream project, because I look at our planters in our downtown where I work, and they could be so much better, and it frustrates me to no end because I'm like, oh my God, they could be amazing, and they're not. So 16 to 20 inch, budget friendly, I understand. I have planted 3 plants in a 16-inch pot, like 3 proven winners annuals or whatever, in a 16-inch pot, and you can do it, but it takes them a while to fill out. So I would say plan on 4 plants for a 16-inch pot, so maybe a centerpiece plus 3 things around it. If you're only gonna plant 3 things, probably I'd keep those the same. You know, keep it simple and bold rather than mix it up with a whole bunch of different things. Good centerpieces, purple fountain grass is an absolute classic, and doesn't need anything other than a lot of water. I mean, I think, if you were gonna do multiple planters, you might do purple fountain grass as the centerpiece, and then pick 3 plants for around them that are all the same, but change them up from pot to pot, which could be a really cool display. I mean, I'm a little sick of petunias personally, so you won't see a lot of petunias in my planting right now. But, a petunia is classic. It's going to have a lot of color. I would not plant in something like that. I would not plant like a Super Tuna Vista, like a monster one. Bubblegum, I would not go with bubblegum for that. I just think that's just going to get too rangy and too out of control. So I'd plant like a normal petunia in there. Certainly, I think coral bells are getting much better, although the fountain grass will grow. Those ornamental grasses will grow depending on how much you want them to grow. It depends on how much water you give them. If you want them to put on a lot of growth, give them a lot of water. Don't flood them, obviously, but keep them giving water. And, technically, super bells, coral bells will not appreciate that. Calibrachoa is what I'm referring to there. So, verbenas would be really cool in there. I don't know, but I would say for the 20-inch pot, I'd probably do, 4 plants around the outside of a centerpiece. And I think you'll fill those in quickly, but do make sure you mix in, a time-release fertilizer and, fertilizer. If you can get around to fertilize them or have a shop owner do that, that will make all the difference in keeping them looking good. And I think, 5 plants for, if you bought 5 plants, let's say you're paying, let's just go a little high, $7 to $8 per 4-inch pot, plus a centerpiece, which might be a little bit more. So you're at 20, you're probably in for 35 to 40 bucks for the plants. I don't think that's bad, personally. Okay, let me show you this one. So this is the Cornus moss that's been in the ground since 2020 here. This one is obviously bigger and more mature than the other one. And here's the size of the flowers here. So I think that's all to be expected because that other one went through some things. It was transplanted last year, had a lot of growing to do. But anyway, so this is going to be the first thing that blooms in the yard in terms of shrubs. And it's gorgeous and I love it. And it's starting to, if you can see this plant, it's starting to get more horizontal than upright, which is what the Cornus moss species, which is what this is, will do over time. They get Shorter but wider, which is exactly what I wanted in this spot. Okay, sorry. It's a little chilly out there. My hands are freezing. So we're going to come inside for a little bit here and talk a little bit more inside. Okay, Mim Lau 6869 says, I know I should ask my extension office or an arborist, but I'll ask here too. I'm in western Wisconsin and I have emerald ash borer larvae and probably other boring insects too, killing my red pines all over my once heavily wooded lot. I've lost 6 to 10 pines a year for the last 5 years since I moved onto my property. I can't find anything on these bugs killing anything other than ash trees, except the occasional mention that they do feed on other trees too. I don't think I can say what's left because I don't want insecticides, but I'm wondering if there's really anything else I can do for future trees. So here's the thing. It's not emerald ash borer. I don't think it's emerald ash borer. To my knowledge, there's no indication that emerald ash borer feeds on red pines. I know that they also will feed on the native fringe tree. So those do need to be protected. That is another source of food for them. But honestly, there's still a lot of ashes around here. So they're still working on the ash trees. What I actually think is happening with your red pines is something that they call red pine pocket decline. And it happens in areas where there's big swaths of red pines, which kind of sounds like that's what your property is. You can find information on this at the Wisconsin DNR website. They have a lot of information on this. And they also have a map of counties, but much of western Wisconsin is included in that. And it'll tell you all about it, symptoms and signs, all of those things. And this applies to people outside of Wisconsin too. Our public university system, UW, has a great plant disease diagnostic lab where you can get answers. So you can also go to your extension office. They might send you to the diagnostic lab anyway, so you might just want to go directly to them. You can find it easy. It's very easy to Google and find. And they will tell you exactly what you're dealing with, and they'll also tell you if there's something that can be done about it. But I don't think it's emerald ash borer. They're terrible, but I don't think they're causing your problem in this case. Terry says, someone mentioned to me that weeds only grow in bad soil. That is, if you grow bad soil, you're more likely to have weeds. What are your thoughts on this? My thoughts on this are no, because here's what I think is behind that theory. I think bad soil is less likely to grow plants that you would like it to grow in. So because nature abhors a vacuum, weeds are more likely to move in there. So probably because that soil is probably sitting there bare and not taken care of, it's more likely to happen. You're more likely to see weeds there. I think but there are plants, there are weeds and plants, they're all the same thing, that like some types of soil. So there are some weeds like plantain often grows in the middle of a lawn. I think it's called common plantain. Grows in the middle of a lawn in compacted areas because lawns often get compacted. So a lot of times what weeds are growing in a spot will tell you what the problem with your soil is. So I don't think bad soil grows weeds. I think that plants that we desire are less likely to grow in bad soil, but something is going to grow in there because it always gets filled in with something. If you don't do something about it, that's when weeds are likely to move in. But weeds have their soil preferences just like any other plant does. Okay, 12Q says, I've been seeing many posts with folks going to Lowe's, and they're coming across a brand of roses called Bloomables. How do I make my Lowe's carry those? All I see is this person is frustrated because they want to see some other roses and they're seeing these probably on Instagram or Facebook or something. So I've actually worked with Bloomables once before. Bloomables is part of the same company that does the bushel and berry plants and star roses, etc. It's just another branch of that company. First of all, you can go to Bloomable's website and you can search for a retailer. They are also sold online, so if you can't find them there, you can also buy them online. So Bloomables is just another brand of plants, like many others. That's part of a group of other brands of plants. Kelcat Flower Girl says, how do I prune my limelight standards? Oh, this is standards, so the blooms don't flop. I don't actually grow any standard hydrangeas on standard, which is when they look like a tree. But the key is you do want to make sure you go back to a really strong framework on those. You want to get rid of any little spindly branches, particularly with those standards. And you want to go back to a nice, strong framework and not leave a lot of long stems. There are a lot of other channels that have great videos on pruning those, so you might want to look for those, but that's the general advice I have on that. Susan New Love 2115 says, does Dorothy like to play in the snow? Do you take your dog sailing with you? Do they swim in the lake? Does Dorothy like to ride in the car? Do you go sailing when you're down in Florida? Lots of good questions. And Dorothy is happy that you're asking one. She's under the table right now. This is Dorothy's favorite spot, and I would like to get a different table, but we can't because she needs her chip. I'm going to be honest, Dorothy is not a big one for playing. She's pretty lonely. She would probably play more if she had a playmate. Some of you might know we lost our dog Odin last July. So we'll probably get another dog at some point. It's not going to be, it can't be in summer because we're too busy in summer. So it won't be then, but Dorothy doesn't play a lot. And honestly, she hadn't really played a lot before then. I think she would if there was another dog, but she mostly is kind of like a hangout kind of girl. No, our dogs do not go sailing with us. We have never taken any of our dogs sailing with us. I don't think Newfoundlands are nimble enough on their feet to manage that. I'm lying? No, that's not true. Rita, who was our first female Newfoundland and our second Newfoundland overall, did go sailing. I'll see if I can pull up the picture of her sailing with Mr. Much More Patient on one of the little boats. She was a Newf of a different stripe. Do they like to swim in the lake? Dorothy does not, but our other Newfs have. And our first two Newfoundlands, Hudson and Rita, loved it. I'm in this room because Logad asked, please tell us the name of the blue paint on your accent wall where you sit down to do videos sometimes. So it's actually, this whole room is painted in this. It is called Benjamin Moore Summer Nights. Ooh, we can look at these in a second. It's called Benjamin Moore Summer Nights. It is like, I describe it as a navy color with a heavy dose of teal in it. I actually almost just was going to put it on the screen door, but we're going a totally different direction with that. Here's some of the house plants. Here is the, okay, we're going to have to talk about that, but this is, you know that I like calling this plant Fat Shadera. It's Fatsa-hedera. But Fat Shadera is way more fun to say. It has just been growing like nuts. It is so happy in here. I have cut it off several times. I had to put in extra stakes for it because that's how tall it got. What is this? Stromanthia, trilobia, or whatever it is. Super happy. Here's the blue fern that I brought home from Florida. The brake fern is less happy. I think it wants more humidity, but hopefully if you can just make it through. And the staghorn fern is doing pretty well. I mean, all these plants suffer a little bit under my care inside, but the Fat Shadera is, you can see some leaves aren't so great, but it just keeps putting out. And remember, I cut this back pretty dramatically before I brought it in. So it's super happy. Let's go to the basement and look at seeds. So the next few questions are either related to something that's happening in the basement or were from that seed starting video. That was probably the last video out before this one. So, okay. Your purple bell vines are really impressive. Here they are. Here's an update. They actually are looking really good there. Mine are substantially smaller, started a month ago. Hope they would catch up too. You said, and then they ask, what's the tricky part later? So actually these are doing pretty well here. Actually, the mahogany splendor is going nutty in there. But you can see that these guys are actually starting to look, at least these three are starting to look a little bit like that. I do have them in these deep cells, and you can actually see that water is not actually touching them. But you can see some of the, I don't know, maybe you can't. There are roots coming out on some of those. These bottom watering trays, you have to fill the water up to a certain level, so I just haven't dumped out what was left in there. So the tricky part, I think, is keeping them warm enough and moving enough. So actually, now see that I've turned off the heat mat that they were on, and I think I'm going to put them back on it. I just think they want those warm temperatures to really thrive and keep going. To me, that's the hard part. Also, they are something that keeping up on fertilizer on is going to be super helpful. So that is like tending them through the pokey times before they are warm enough and keeping them warm enough is, I think, the tricky part. Oh, Kicks461 also said, where'd you get those cool deep cell trays? These are from All About the Garden. I'll put a link in the description. They are good, and I think they're working really well. And I do think these are very happy in them, much more so than they would be. I'm clearly going to have to bump these up too, because if we're getting roots out the bottom, these will have to go into bigger pots, but that's fabulous news. So yeah, and these are basically indestructible. They have several sizes. These deep ones are nice. But more and more and more, I've been buying these heavy duty seed starting things because I'm so sick of the flimsy stuff. In fact, all of these, this is also from All About the Garden here. This is, I don't know however many cells that is. And then somewhere else I have bigger ones. Oh, and then, oopsies. And then this one, I don't know if you can see that, is also, this is like a, maybe like a 3-inch pot. So there's it's a 15 cell. So that's also from them. And I like that a lot too. I moved the dahlias down to the bottom here. And I moved, because I moved the houseplants out. The bromeliads are over here. Hopefully they'll be able to stay there. I'm just trying to make some more room on the proverbial shelves here. They are not proverbial shelves. They're not proverbial shelves. They're literal shelves. I don't know why I said proverbial. This is from Oxwoman 8. Banana. Is the banana cam broken? You're right. We have not used the banana cam. And then here's the other banana thing from that brick question from that brick chick. I have tried to overwinter a banana plant, and I wonder when is best to begin waking it up. Last frost date, she's in Edmonton, Alberta. Last frost date, May 30th. And then also, have you ever seeded chocolate Dara? Did you succession sow and were you successful? I'll answer that one first. I have not. I don't have any luck with any of those kinds of plants. I just have not put the effort into figuring out how to grow it. I do believe that Danielle over at North Lawn Flower Farm grows Dara. I bet she has a video on it. Okay, the banana plant. I woke mine up. So it's not as much about your last frost date as it is about when it's warm enough for that thing to get outside. So for me, I figured I could move that outside in mid-June. And so I took mine out last year on April 29th is when I made the video, when I took it out. And that timing was pretty good. I might be able to push that up by a week, but it grew fast once I got it out of storage. So you have to be ready for that. So that's when I did it. I don't think there's a lot of advantage to doing it too much earlier because it does put on a lot of rapid growth. And when you get that rapid growth, you also get the chance for all sorts of aphid issues, and not to mention a giant banana in your house. So keep that in mind. All right, let's check out the banana cam here. Turn on the light for you. It's actually good that I'm in here because I am going to pull my crates of dahlias out now. I won't pot them up until April 10th or so, but I'm going to pull them out now and just let them sit like this out in the main part of my basement for them to just start thinking about waking up. I've never done that before, but I'm seeing a lot of dahlia experts talk about doing that, and I thought, let's give her a shot. Here's the banana. The banana is still in its corner. It has not been touched. It is looking great. Of course, all this stuff is this will all get cut off here. This is what happens when it gets light. So that meristem just starts pushing up growth right away. So that's why we make sure we keep it dark in here. Yeah, it's great in here. So that's the banana. I think it's fine. I actually think it's in better shape than it was last year. Last year, I felt like there was a lot more of the outside stuff that I had to cut off, and this is feeling much more solid than it last year. Felt that there was a lot of squishy bits, and I think it's doing better this year, but time will tell. The other thing that's in here is my figs, and they are starting to put on green, which is not optimal. It's a bit early for them to be doing that. So I do need to keep it dark and cool in here and try to keep these as dormant as I can, because this is them waking up and we don't really want that yet. Here's the alyssum that was planted in that last video, and this is what I'm considering my cool shelf down here. So I'm trying to keep mostly the cool stuff down here, although the cucumbers have no business being here. This is so that's the alyssum, snapdragons, foxglove, Salvia argentea should not be down here, but I put those in the tray together, which was a bad idea. Here's the sculpit that we sowed last week. Here is the Nicotiana that had the trauma, is coming up just fine. That was wiped off the table. We've got bronze fennel coming up. We've got little bits of everything. In fact, the tray will come off of this one real soon. I am a little bit behind on postcards. If you're new here, here's what the postcards are about. About a year ago, maybe more now, I invited people to share the garden inspiration that they found in gardens they had visited, whether it be a fancy garden or a garden they saw on a local tour, or any garden where they were inspired. Because my point is that it's so important that we get into other gardens and then share that inspiration with other people, so we can all, just enjoy it or learn from it or take something away from it. So we do have some postcards a little bit backed up here. I like to wait till I have a batch of them, so that makes it easier. And I like to put them into these sort of Q&A videos. So here we go. Hi, Erin, I love your channel and you've inspired me to start growing dahlias again. The Minnesota Landscape Arboretum is beautiful year-round, but especially in spring when the lady slippers are in bloom. Thank you, Julie. So this is from the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum, and holy smokes, we can grow these. We can grow these. I want to grow them very badly. I am so afraid. They're like, Plant Delights Nursery sells them. They're like $85 a piece. And I'm willing to do an experiment, but that is a pricey experiment. And between the deer and what if I get the wrong spot, I would like to grow these though. And I can't imagine how amazing it is to see these growing in the. Here is a postcard from Thailand. And I think there's a Thai word at the beginning. Sawadika. I love it. On my dream trip to Thailand, have been in the island area to the south and now in the rice fields and mountains of the north. The whole country is a botanical garden. Houseplants grow right in the wild. The Royal Park was wonderful, although they have almost no postcards. The orchid house was to die for. Jama Mika means I'll be back. This is from Deborah. Deborah, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Thailand, yeah, dream trip, right? Certainly for me it is. I'd love to go to Thailand. Here is a beautiful card. While spending Christmas with my family in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I grew up, I visited Phipps Conservatory. I now live and garden in Zone 8B, coastal North Carolina, and have for 26 years. Phipps has always been one of my favorite places to go while I'm in Pittsburgh, but it's especially nice in the winter when everything is so cold and dreary outside. It filled me up to walk through all of the lush plants during the darkest days of winter. There were tons of lights, of course, for Christmas, but they change up the displays and themes throughout the year. It may not be a bucket list item for some, but for me, it holds a special place in my heart. If you're ever in that area, it's worth the price of admission. I have followed your channel for years and always learn a lot and laugh as well. Thanks for all you do. Happy New Year. This is from Heather. That's amazing. And then Heather also sent this. She says, here are some other prints of scenes from the Phipps Conservatory. Oh my gosh. Absolutely gorgeous. And I love that. It doesn't have to be a bucket list item to enjoy a garden and just savor every bit of it. Here is this gorgeous? Look at this beautiful card. It is the Black Cap Flycatcher. Hi, Erin. I'm not sure if you're collecting postcards, but I thought I'd send these anyway. Yes. We visited Longwood Gardens in Chanticleer in the spring and had such a wonderful time. I had planned Longwood and added Chanticleer based on your recommendation. It is as beautiful as you said, So I truly thank you. Encloses a postcard and brochure for the local arboretum. We love it there. If you're ever in Cleveland, it is about half an hour east. Thank you for sharing your garden and your knowledge. This is from Calla. Best regards, Calla. So Calla did send some postcards as well. This is from Chanticleer, which is, this looks like the red buds are in bloom there. This is from Longwood. Vibrant waves of tulips and grape hyacinths ripple along our iconic flower garden walk. My understanding is that the Meconopsis are in bloom at Longwood right now. That's the blue, Himalayan blue poppy. Let's talk about plants I can't grow. Have to appreciate them somewhere else, clearly. Okay. Thank you so much for that. And I'm so glad you got to Chanticleer, because Chanticleer and Longwood are great gardens to see together because they're completely different. They are meant to elicit different things in you. The philosophy behind them is completely different. So you take away two very different things without one taking away from the other. At least that's my thought on it. Dear Erin, last spring I had the pleasure of visiting Innisfree Garden in Millbrook, New York. As described on the website, it merges the essence of modernist and romantic ideas with traditional Chinese and Japanese design principles. The stonework throughout the garden is amazing, and I left feeling calm and relaxed after what had been a difficult few days. The history of Innisfree is fascinating and worth a read and a visit. Love your channel. This is from Ellen, who gardens in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and she is on Instagram at Garden to Tablescape. And this is the other postcard that she sent. Why haven't I been here? Look at this. This looks amazing. I love this philosophy too. The essence of modernist and romantic ideas with traditional Chinese and Japanese design principles. I mean, hello. I'm in for that. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ellen. Here is a little something from Victoria, British Columbia. Adorable postcard. Your postcard project is so much fun. I love learning about all the different gardens all over the world. My recommendations here in Victoria are Hartley Park for big trees, Italian garden, and Japanese garden. Finnerty Garden at UVIC, which is a rhododendron heaven, and Gorge Park, which is in her neighborhood. Come visit. Wine and Weeds and the Banana keep me entertained. All the best in 2024. And this is from Lindsay. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Good recommendations from Lindsay. I always appreciate those local recommendations of what to see where you are. Okay, here's just a note from Carrie. Hi, Carrie. Here's one for those of us who can't travel or have the winter blues. A documentary called The Greater Perfection, the story of the gardens at Les Quatre Vents in Charlevoix County, Quebec. I've learned to say Quebec, not Quebec. By Francis H. Cabot. My husband found the documentary last February in a snowstorm. It was magical. The most delightful and inspiring documentary about a garden ever. Not open to the public as much anymore, so hard to visit, but the documentary is wonderful. The updated version of the book just came out on January 17th, and I'm reading it now. Thanks for all you share. This is from Carrie Hess, who's in Zone 5B, East Moline, Illinois. So The Greater Perfection is the documentary that you are looking for. Here, let me see if I can find it somewhere. I'm having a harder time finding the documentary, but I'm sure it's probably out there on some streaming service or for rent somewhere. But the book is available at everywhere you might buy a book, clearly. By the way, I want to say that sometimes people send some seeds my way, and I really appreciate that. And I don't necessarily show those in the videos, but if you've sent those, I receive them, I plant them, I love them. Thank you. Okay, this is a very long letter, so I'm going to edit it just a little bit. But Bill Krukman sent me this with some beautiful pictures on it because it's really long. But let me summarize it for you because it's quite a nice letter. Hi, Erin. Love your channel. Been enjoying your content since 2020. Thank you for all you share. My garden is a better place thanks to you. Thank you. Oh, I probably killed my microphone on that. Thank you, Bill. Been loving your postcard series, so I thought I'd get in on the fun. Yes, please do. I live in Minnesota. Howdy, neighbor. I also have family in Madison. Love visiting Chicago. Okay, a few recommendations for Minnesota gardens. Como Park Conservatory and the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum, which we just talked about, are both lovely destinations. The This year I decided to check out the Joshua Tree National Park off my list. Worth every effort. Ended up planning a trip to Phoenix and then drove out to Palm Springs and back to fly home from Phoenix. This set up the perfect opportunity to see some outstanding garden destinations. In Phoenix, he went to the incredible Desert Botanical Garden. I think we've had a postcard from them before, which other people have raved about. Incredible to see everything from manicured desert plantings with gorgeous symmetry in their welcome gardens to rugged mountain landscapes dotted with sargassums on the Sonoran Desert Nature Trail. Next morning, I drove to Joshua Tree, took the highways to see more of the Arizona wilderness, which was a great choice. The morning included views of untouched saguaro forests, dozens of hot air balloons flying overhead. Going to Joshua Tree was transcendent. Being in the presence of those trees that outnumber my own years was really grounding. Puts things in perspective, right? I love this. Spent the whole day enjoying many of the sights the park has to offer. Took the opportunity to enjoy the Morton Botanical Garden and some first-class antiquing before heading back to Arizona. I would also recommend a trip to Moeller's Garden Center in Palm Desert. Those folks were even kind enough to bubble wrap and tape up a zigzag euphorbia of me so I could get it easily in my carry-on luggage. Bill clearly packs things in his luggage like I do. Back in Arizona, my last garden adventure was the Boyce Thompson Arboretum in Superior, Arizona. About an east of Phoenix, the Arboretum is a spectacular destination with almost 400 acres and close to 5 miles of walking paths. It's easy to spend the whole day exploring. Two places that really impressed me at Boyce Thompson were the Belgium Cove and the giant eucalyptus forest. The Belgium tree, pictured on the postcard. Hang on, there's postcards. There's postcards with this. Was completely new to me this trip. These Dr. Seuss-like creatures were so stunning. Another blessing on the trip was seeing the Anna's hummingbird for the first time. I included the postcards for you to enjoy and share if you like. I recommend a visit to any of these. So this is the Joshua Tree here. And then this stunning postcard is from the Desert Botanical Garden at the Audison Entry Garden. The seeds, Bill sent some seeds, are from my creme de cassis hollyhock pictures from last year. Yes, I'm going to plant those. Maybe you can enjoy them in your own garden. And the little garden gift, he also sent something else. It's so sweet. It's calendula salve that I've made this fall. I grow a beautiful Pacific calendula from seed. Here's pictures of it down here. And harvested the flowers to dry all season, then took dried calendula and infused in organic grapeseed oil. Took that infused oil and melted it with some beeswax from a local beekeeper and added some tea tree essential oil. Just those 4 ingredients. Great for hands, feet, face, or lips. Helps with gardener's hands for sure. So looking forward to the spring and next gardening season. So Bill lives in Chicago City, Minnesota, Zone 4B. Thank you so much, Bill. Oh, it smells amazing. Thank you. Oh, I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was so sweet. Of course, not necessary, you guys, ever. But I do appreciate everybody who shares their postcards with me. I hope I caught everybody. I hope we're caught up now, unless you sent something in the past week, because I did not get to the mailbox in the past week. Also, I don't know how to open up the mailbox. So when I say I mean Mr. Much More Patient. If you want to send a postcard, the address is always in the description. As we get more into the gardening season here, I'll be sharing things more frequently and we'll be doing more Q&As to just keep up to date on things. Honestly, the past few months I've been a little bit distant from, or more distant than I would like to be from YouTube because things got really busy this winter between some like personal trips I had, some trips I had for work, the other work. And then I went to a speaking opportunity out in California that was absolutely fabulous, amazing gardeners to talk to. So anyway, it's just been kind of a little bit of a whirlwind here. So, and obviously there aren't as many postcards that come in winter as there are the rest of the year. So they're still happening. We're still doing it. I love this project. I love sharing your inspiration with other people. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for being a part of the channel. Thank you for sending your questions. Can I thank you for anything else? Thank you for being you. All right. Have a great day in your garden. Off you go. Bye.